Okay, we can start. Good morning, everyone. Welcome again to another lecture series of the LaSalle Sustainability Lectures. Today, we have a lecture entitled A Whole of University Approach Towards a Sustainable University, Attuning to a Sustainable Earth. I am Ari Sobando. I will be your host for today. I'm the Assistant Dean for Research and Advanced Studies of the Gokong Wei of College of Engineering of De La Salle University in the Philippines. Together with me, we have Dr. Maria Victoria Sumagang, who is an assistant professor at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, also a graduate of the PhD in chemical engineering here at the Gokong Wei College of Engineering, De La Salle University, Manila, Philippines. And also, together with us, we have Dr. Katin Aviso, the Dean of the Gokong Wei College of Engineering. So before we start this lecture, let's start first with a brief prayer.
Let me be the change I want to see, to do with strength and wisdom all that needs to be done.
Thank you, Ria. To give us a background of the LaSalle Sustainability Lectures, let us all welcome the Vice President for Research and Innovation of De La Salle University, Manila, Philippines, Dr. Raymond Gerard Tan.
Good day, everyone. I'm Professor Raymond Tan. I'm the Vice President for Research and Innovation of De La Salle University in Manila, Philippines. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this edition of the 2024 Sustainability Lecture Series. De La Salle University is a member of a network of LaSallian higher education institutions known as IALU. IALU has member institutions in 5 different continents: the Americas, Africa, Europe, the Middle East, and Eastern Asia. De La Salle University is a private, comprehensive Catholic university initially founded as De La Salle College in 1911. We are now 1 year removed from our Golden Jubilee as a university and have seen extensive growth in research productivity over the past 50 years. We are ranked first among Philippine institutions in terms of research output in this decade to date. We are the most heavily funded private institution in the country and have seen a 7-fold increase in research output over the past 10 years. As a result, we are ranked by the Times Higher Education World University Rankings of research-intensive institutions, and are also top ranked in the following subject areas: physical sciences, social sciences, engineering, computer science, business and economics, education, and arts and humanities. The Sustainability Lecture Series is inspired by 2 documents that were published in 2015. Number 1, intended for the Catholic world, was Pope Francis's Laudato Si encyclical. Number 2 were the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, intended for the secular world. But what is interesting to note is that these 2 documents have a strong intersection in seeking sustainable development for the entire planet. And these provide the basis for the series of lectures that we've held since 2021. The Sustainability Lecture Series is organized by a core group, initially consisting of Professor Dr. Kathleen Aviso, the current Dean of the Gokongwei College of Engineering, Dr. Carmelita Quebenco, the former President and current Chancellor Emeritus of De La Salle University, Professor Dr. Alvin Colaba, the Director of the Center for Engineering and Sustainable Development Research, which is the organizational host of this lecture series. And we were joined last year with the support of Professor Dr. Aristotel Obando, current Assistant Dean for Research, and former PhD student, Dr. Maria Victoria Migo Sumaga, and of course, yours truly. Since January 2021, we've dealt with diverse topics in sustainable development, holding lectures online on various topics at the last Wednesday of each month. The lectures have been recorded for the most part and are available in a dedicated YouTube channel. The lectures have been viewed thousands of times by different viewers asynchronously, in addition to the live audience that we normally have. And of course, the resource persons are drawn from the global IALU network, and we've had speakers from different continents talking about global and local concerns. As we begin a new year, we look at what lies ahead. And first and foremost, we've decided to partner with a newly formed University Sustainability Office at DLSU, which will provide logistical support when we look at new issues, when we consider new formats, including hybrid lectures with a live audience inside the university. So these are what are in store for us in the coming year. Thank you and good day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tan, for providing us a background of the LaSalle Sustainability Lectures. And now, for our lecture. Our lecture is entitled A Whole of University Approach Towards a Sustainable University, Attuning to a Sustainable Earth. Allow me to introduce our speaker for this morning. Our speaker is an environmental expert with over 20 years of experience. He holds a master's degree in environmental studies from Miriam College Foundation Graduate School and a bachelor's degree in economics and communication arts, along with a degree in secondary education from De La Salle University. He currently leads the De La Salle University Sustainability Office and manages the Philippine network of the Sustainable Development Solutions Network at the university. He worked as an environmental consultant at the Development Academy of the Philippines from 2003 to 2011. He has been a consultant for the Lasallian Institute for the Environment, contributing to projects on environmental education, carbon neutrality, solid waste management, and tree planting since 2003. At De La Salle University, he served as the executive director, assistant vice chancellor for facilities management, overseeing sustainable facilities from 2017 to 2023. He was the director of the Campus Sustainability Office, promoting environmental awareness and sustainable operations from 2013 to 2018. He is a certified as Verde professional, Verde assessor, and in GRI sustainability reporting. He also has a professional license for teachers. With his qualifications and experience, he has become a leader in environmental management and education, driving sustainable practices in academic institutions and society. Let us all welcome our speaker for this morning, Mr. Antonio Carlos M. Maralit.
Thank you, Doc Aris, for the very generous and introduction. No? So a pleasant good morning and good evening to some of you. So I also like to thank the group for allowing me to share the LSU's experience on our journey towards becoming a sustainable university. So the my sharing for this morning will be composed of three parts. No? So in the first part, I'll talk a bit about the whole of university approach towards becoming a sustainable university. Then on the second part, allow me to share with you our journey is still ongoing. And then at the last part, some gains and challenges we experience. So first, adopting a whole of university approach. Basically, what is a whole of university approach? It entails looking into an institution's different pillars and how this can be integrated into an approach where people can break away from silos and hopefully come up with a setting in the university or the campus where what we hope to teach students will be easily observed and experienced within the campus. So as institutions which prepare future leaders, it is imperative that we demonstrate environmentally responsible action by explicitly linking the core functions of the institution. So this would probably cover academia, research, service engagement, as well as operations. So a whole of university approach to sustainability demonstrates to students a real world application of the sometimes vague concept of sustainability. In a nutshell, it's an approach that seeks to break down currently existing barriers between functional units of the institution. And this is something that is very often observed in most universities worldwide. Setting up an institutional sustainability program or agenda, it is proposing that campus operations be involved in promoting curricular agenda as well as the research agenda. And both curriculum and the research agenda have always been interacting side by side. In the context of a Lasallian university, I think to add to the breaking down of silos, we would hope to promote sustainability through collaboration across the different pillars. So curriculum and academics, operations, research, and an additional pillar is the social engagement pillar. I think this is a very clear mandate to many Lasallian universities. Then it hopes to engage all sectors in planning, policy development, and eventual implementation of programs. So in our experience in DLSU, basically the Lasallian pillar I've always looked at is the very clear call to respond to the signs of the times. So if you look at the challenges facing most of universities worldwide, Lasallian universities at that, I think the issue of climate change, the climate crisis, is a very glaring and very obvious challenge, no? That requires collaboration, not only within our university, but across universities globally. So this call to limit temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels is really a very clear target that many are being called for to contribute. Just recently, the planet has reached the critical 1.5 degrees Celsius warming threshold for the first time over a 12-month period. And we're still far off from 2030 deadlines set by the world. Many ask what will happen to Earth in 2030. At the present rate we are going, many are focusing their efforts in adaptation, but I think many have forgotten mitigating the cause of climate change is an essential role that we must play. Just recently, the Sustainable Development Solutions Network released the 2024 Sustainable Development Report. And the top key takeaways from this report are as follows. As far as the localization of the SDGs, only 16% of the SDGs are on track. Much of the rest of the SDGs were showing limited progress or even a reversal in progress. The SDG progress varies across country groups. Nordic countries lead, BRICS countries making significant progress. Poor and vulnerable nations lag far behind. In the Philippine data, we only have one positive increase, no, in terms of our contribution to the localization of the SDG. Number 3, in terms of global cooperation, the Barbados ranks highest in the UN-based multilateralism. However, the United States rank last. SDG targets related to food and land systems are particularly off track. SD remains as a long-term investment challenge. Reforming the global financial architecture is more urgent than ever. So with these challenges, how do we see it as a university? Currently, when we started way back in 2013, the university has been engaged in many sustainability initiatives across different pillars. And the challenge, however, many of these units or sectors are working in their own different areas of expertise and interest. So in a nutshell, they do not really collaborate across sectors or units. When I came in, when we started the office, there is no clear existing environmental or even a sustainability policy at that time. So the main challenges that we had to face is a buy-in into a common sustainability agenda, how to promote collaboration across sectors and units, and then how to prioritize courses of action through a clear sustainability strategic direction and roadmap. So just to share a brief timeline on how we were responding to the signs of the times in the last decade. In 2011, De La Salle University celebrated its 100 years. And this was the time that the university set up a campus sustainability office. A team of research professors were sent abroad to do a benchmarking with some foreign universities on how they are setting up their campus sustainability units. And the main objective that time was to map out sustainability plan for DLSU. It started with one part-time personnel assigned, and it came up with a very simple university-approved environmental policy, which focused mainly on solid waste management. So the simple beginnings during the 100-year celebration was the birth of the sustainability journey. Then in 2013, this is the year I was hired, so I just passed my 10th year anniversary, uh, a new office was expanded and we were allowed to hire 2 full-time staff, myself included. The task developed a more comprehensive program beyond environmental pillar of sustainability. So from having simply an environmental program, we were tasked to put together and push forward the sustainability agenda. Then in 2014, in the Philippine district or Philippine network of schools, uh, the modern conduct of schools was drafted, and this was initiated by then President Brother Ricky Laguda, who happens to be, by the way, is celebrating his birthday today. I think right now, currently he is one of our general counselors. So the modern conduct of schools map out different programs and uh, directions, policies, principles, and guidelines across different operational units of a school. And one was particularly interested in looking at campus operations. This has been an initial guide that we have been using at that time. Then in 2015, in May 2015, the Pope came up with the encyclical Laudato Si on the care of our common home. At the same year, the SDGs also came out after the world has finished focusing on the Millennium Development Goals. With these two, the university had a major change in its mission statement. And it was in this year that Attuned to a Sustainable Earth was added into the mission vision of the university. This added a new dimension in the different pillars of being a learner-centered university, being a research university that bridges faith and scholarship in the service of society. In 2023, again, the Pope issued a papal exhortation calling to the global community to do more. No? After 8 years since the issuance of the Laudato Si, I think the Pope was calling for a sense of urgency for all communities to respond to the climate crisis. So we must move beyond the mentality of appearing to be concerned, but not having the courage needed to produce substantial changes. And on the same note, the university pushed for major changes in the sustainability setup of the university. It was on this year that the President's Council decided to expand and realign the reporting lines of the former Campus Sustainability Office, which now currently is the University Sustainability Office, which has 2 sustainability hubs operating in the 2 major campuses in Manila and in Laguna. Also, at this point, the President appointed a presidential advisor on sustainability, and then it created 2 major university-wide committees. Now, how does the whole of university approach is being implemented in the university? Uh, just to share, the sustainability agenda is simply following the concept of how a school is basically wired or what we are expected to deliver. In a nutshell, we have students, faculty, staff, material resources as inputs. And when they go to the university, our curricular formation programs, research agenda, social engagement agenda, the different sustainability programs, and even science-based solutions all happen with the hope of producing morally grounded global citizens, expert schools, programs that are impactful to society, and hopefully contributing into the creation of a regenerative futures. So the Laudato Si goals and the Sustainable Development Goals now serve as our foundation goals, which will guide our prioritization and actions. And looking at our Sustainable Development Framework, we try to analyze the setting by focusing again on the challenges. On the individual level, we have people doing wasteful practices, not by choice really, but because of the evolved culture, which is very much consumerist and commercialism, resulting in wasteful lifestyle. So if you look at your everyday lifestyle, we don't really have much of a choice because most of the products we buy practically are packaged in disposable packaging. If you look at the school operations being a more than 100 years old, most of our buildings are needs upgrading and retrofitting. Some of the practices and systems in place would be resulting into wasteful operations. The business as usual paradigm and the end of pipe solutions would always be a default action to address some issues emerging, especially on environment and on sustainability. Then most communities we find our schools in are degraded environment and setting. Then there are vulnerable communities due to the impacts of climate change and other environmental challenges. So with this, we propose to have three major agenda. One that targets the individual, one that targets the institution operations, and then one with goals that aspires to help meaningful impacts on society. So the first agenda is focusing on education, research, and formation for sustainable development. Key element essential to this is the values formation aspect. So ESD for the integrity of creation. On the school level, how do we transform the university into really being a genuinely green university, looking at operations and even on financial sustainability and investments? Then on the bigger community, how to promote climate change mitigation, adaptation, and community engagement. So here we hope to have impactful solutions to societal problems. So in summary, the three agenda focuses on education, research, and formation. The second on operations, and the third on climate change mitigation, adaptation, and resilience. Now, focusing on the two committees that were created, it practically looks at a top-down and bottoms-up approach. So the Sustainability Council and multi-sectoral subcommittees were created this year with the hope of, one, mapping out a roadmap. And the approach will be from a top-down and bottoms-up approach. In the first committee, the one on top, it is a high-level body whose main mandate is to advise the president on strategic sustainability matters and to set broad strategic sustainability targets. So it looks at policy recommendations, strategic sustainability matters, and sustainability roadmap and targets. It also has a relationship with the other committee, which is a multi-sectoral sustainability subcommittee. Here we have thought leaders, stakeholder sectoral reps, a consultative body whose main purpose is to ensure that sustainability matters are routinely discussed by key sectors and stakeholders. So from as basic at whether do we ban or regulate the use of single-use plastics to issues related to inclusion or even on prioritization of research agenda are all discussed in these committees. Now, to further dissect or dissect the multi-sectoral sustainability subcommittee, we have created clusters. And this is where we apply the whole of university approach. So there's a cluster that focuses on research, a cluster that focuses on academics or education, another on the governance and operations, while another is on the external leadership on social engagement programs. So this is very much based on the UNEP program and also as proposed in the SDG localization of universities. So how do we now apply the whole of university approach? Where does the breaking down of silos happen? First, each thematic clusters champion each university pillar. So one cluster addresses one university pillar. So there's one on operations, one on academics, another focusing on the research and internationalization, and a last one is on the social pillar and social engagement. Further, in each thematic cluster, you may have the impression that each cluster will have all specialized people sitting down. So you may think academic will be purely composed of people from academia, the research cluster being composed of people solely from research. In our case, this is not the case because we applied the whole university approach. So in each cluster, representatives from different sectors sit down and help map out the gaps and directions of each pillar's agenda. Each pillar is also chaired by and includes the sustainability directors and advisor. And lastly, each pillar has a sustainability champion that initiates discussion in populating the agenda of the clusters. So this is currently ongoing. We are setting up the different clusters and meetings have started since September. So to summarize, so there's one on finance and administration, there's one on academics, research and internationalization, and social engagement. Now, how does it prove effective or what are the gains from having a whole university approach? I'll be sharing briefly some case studies of efforts that we tried to show a proof of concept and really manifest how a whole of university approach helps promote sustainability and how it also benefits the different sectors of the university. So allow me to share what is our approach. So it promotes collaboration across different university sectors. So the finance and admin, for example, provides opportunities for applied research and actual laboratory for academia. So living laboratories, as we would call it. Second, academe as part of the expected Lasallian graduate aptitudes promotes ESD through an integrated approach and lives out values and citizenship skills through service learning. So here, service learning may be happening inside the university or with our partner communities. Then research now serves as a technical advisor and consultancy services to internal stakeholders. And they also contribute in continuous improvement of university operations. Then on social engagement, provides the university with opportunity to contribute as well as benefit from the improved partnership with the extension of sustainability best practice into the community. So at this point, allow me to share 3 example cases wherein we were able to allow different university units to work together in addressing a sustainability agenda or a social issue or environmental concern. So the first one is a very simple concern wherein we have problems in the preservation of a heritage collection in our library. So the national artist Sionil Jose's family donated to the university a whole set of documents which is now stored in our library. So what was the problem or the challenge? Sionil Jose collection was housed in an area that experienced excessive heating due to sunlight, which compromised the safe keep of the collection, especially during summer and when the, the university is closed, wherein the air conditioning system is shut off. So how to address this? We were able to tap one of our researchers who were who was developing a nano coating system applied to tempered glass, which allows light to come in but stops or blocks the UV rays. So when we applied the nano coating to the window panes of the library, this has significantly reduced the amount of sunlight that was reaching the collection, thus helping us preserve the donated collection. So the nano coat costs less than standard commercial tint. It increased energy savings currently being studied for application even in the major university facilities. This has also been already engaged into a micro enterprise startup. So how did the units collaborate? So their operations, our academic services and facilities management group help in the uh, implementation of the application of the nano coating. Academics on their part had students from the physics departments doing the baseline data gathering and the measurements. Then the research center wherein the nanotechnology research project was applied, sponsored the application of the film. The campus sustainability office facilitated the discussion and the implementation of the project. Our second case in our Laguna campus, we were having traffic issues. And the problem particularly builds up every day in the morning and in the afternoon due to pick up and drop off of students from our integrated school. So the solution was to engage a research faculty who is an expert on transport management to conduct a traffic management study and come up with recommendations. So they did time motion studies. Students from the research faculty research group were the ones gathering data and doing the analysis. So what were the benefits we experienced? There was an improved in the traffic flow, establishment of a traffic management scheme, development of a sustainable inclusive mobility plan in anticipation of future campus expansion and growth, making it a pedestrian-friendly campus. So the collaborating units for operations, the safety office, our security office, our campus services. In student affairs, basically they were the ones who were handling the discussions and the meetings. Then academics, students from the graduates, Gokongwei College of Engineering helped in the data gathering and analysis. Then the researcher from the CESDAR, no, our Center for Engineering and Sustainable Development Research, Transport and Sustainable Mobility. Of course, again, the Sustainability Office just simply facilitated the meeting of the different sectors. Another case which had to address not an issue, but a concern that was observed by the facilities group. So not letting wastewater go to waste. When the university was required to set up a sewage treatment facility, it was observed by the facilities group that treated water was being discharged in our esteros near the university, which were not really clean. So they felt the water should be utilized for other purposes so that to waste the invested money that goes into the treatment of water. So the solution, the facilities group initiated the setting up of a water recycling system that include the filtration system such that wastewater that has been treated may be further processed so that it may be used to flush or water the toilets and lavatories as well as for gardening. So here it lowered our water footprint. We were also able to set up a learning station wherein the actual facility are being visited by students who would like to study more on how wastewater treatment and water recycling is done. And then what are the collaborating units involved? One, for operations, the facilities management group, the civil and sanitary works office. In academics, the civil engineering faculty helped in the development of the design of the filtration system. And then for the community, the campus sustainability office help promotes it in other sectors of the university as a learning setup. Lastly, where in social engagement was the main platform is the creation of a coastal resource management plan in a bay where we find our marine station. So the problem was there's a degradation of mangrove area and illegal fishing activities in Talim Bay in Batangas. And the solution was to come up with a collaborative research, education, and community engagement efforts towards the establishment of the following programs. One is a coastal research management program with the barangay communities, a Sea Scouts program with the elementary students of the public schools in the community, and an alternative library program for fisher folks, shifting them from illegal fishing activities to the creation of a mangrove nursery. So what was the benefits gained from this partnership? Increased mangrove forest cover, improved marine ecosystem. So to the right, you will notice the growth of sea anemones. Then high level of awareness, involvement, and responsibility from the fisher folk community, and the establishment of a marine protected areas in Talim Bay. So the collaborating units, academics. So this is now our regular partner for the service learning activities of our students. Also, the creation of a Sea Scouts auxiliary within our basic education unit, as well as within the community, which always involves in partner activities between the two groups. For the social engagement, our Center for Social Concern and Action is the lead in the continuous effort to work with the communities, especially now with the localization of the SDGs. And then the research group, the SHORE, is the one who is involved in the continuing research. At present, they are promoting citizen science to the communities. And of course, in the community engagement platform, we now have the local government unit involved in the um, coastal resource management. Partner fisher folk communities are trained scuba divers who do reef monitoring. So lastly, what are the challenges? We have experienced and continuously to experience the need to change mindsets, no? From thinking in isolated circles into systems thinking and collaborative clusters. This has been an ongoing challenge, especially since for the longest time, most people are trained to just look at their own area of concern and interest. Time is also a major challenge, especially it requires much time, series of meetings, gathering people together, if you want to invest in collaborative action. No? So there will be frequent meetings, reflections, and dialogue in identifying best practices, challenges, and priorities. Also, another challenge is how to coordinate and collate cluster inputs towards a development of university-wide sustainability roadmap. Um, but we are very hopeful because slowly there is much buy-in after 10 years of setting up the office. There is much interest now more than ever in having multidisciplinary approaches to different research projects and programs. Now, in conclusion, sustainability presents opportunities for universities to work towards the localization of the SDGs, promotion of education for sustainable development, and an integrated contribution to communities. Also, a whole of university approach presents numerous benefits, both from internal and external stakeholders. While campus sustainability gives more integrity to the work of universities on sustainable development. In conclusion, I think the strength in our classroom lies in the collaboration of learners, not in the knowledge of one expert. In other words, how we help engage and spread to all sectors science-based solutions, and being part of the analysis and development of programs helps much. Also, taking a quote from Saint LaSalle, union in a community is like a precious gem. When that is lost, all is lost. I think way back in the time of Saint LaSalle, he has always gave much importance on communion in mission. And lastly, I think collaboration is key. So thank you. If you would like to get more information on some of the references I had, please feel free to email me or the secretariat. So thank you and good day. Good evening to everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maralit, for sharing your expertise on sustainability and providing three concrete projects that applied sustainability. So at this point, I would now transfer the floor to Dr. Ria to facilitate the question and answer portion. Dr.
Th-
Ria?
Thank you, Doc Aris. Thank you, Sir Noy, for that very interesting discussion. Today, I learned about, well, thank you for walking us through the journey of the LaSalle in establishing the Sustainability Office and its programs, and also sharing the approaches like the creation of the four clusters, and also sharing the case studies. As a faculty of UPLB, I will I got a lot of take home to bring to our university. So I have some questions right here, and I also invite the audience to um ask your questions via the chat box, or maybe you can ask them live. But I will start the first question. I'm interested about the sustainability in the curriculum. So, did you develop and offer new courses related to sustainability?
As far as curriculum, I wasn't able to share much, but there is a lot going on in relation to promoting education for sustainable development. One is the inclusion of sustainability in the expected LaSallian graduate attributes. Currently, there's a whole team from the College of Education under the Vice Chancellor, who is also here, Dr. Lenny, wherein they are really dissecting the curricula vis-a-vis one, the Sustainable Development Goals and the different reference from the United Nations as far as education for sustainable development is concerned. Secondly, even before the office was created, there has been numerous efforts by individual university professors to integrate sustainable development in their own respective curricula. So some subjects are also um, tailored particularly to promote sustainable development or the application of it in their respective curriculum. So just recently, for example, last academic term, term one, the accountancy program has launched the creation of sustainability reporting as a minor program under the degree of accountancy. So this
Okay.
in particular is really focused on sustainability as a main platform. For our College of Business, I think we are a signatory in the PRIME program of the United Nations, which also promotes education for sustainable development. In the engineering field, there has been numerous integration already of sustainability, particularly in addressing key issues related to sustainability. In our Laguna campus, this year they also created the School for Innovation and Sustainability, using the challenge-based approach in developing their curriculum. So this and many, many more are all geared towards helping in the promotion of education for sustainable development. So I think if some of you are interested, we could link them with the persons in charge with the development and further articulation of the curriculum.
Thank you for that, Sir Noy. So we have some comments and questions in the chat box. Let me read. This one is from Carlos Brian Nolido. Wonderful talk. Thank you, sir. Hoping you can also share the slides. This is very helpful, especially for universities who are about to start their sustainability goals. And then we also have another one with a question from Christine B. De La Cruz. Naimbag nga Aldao. Good day. How did you start engaging the faculty members to address sustainability in the curriculum? I think you have partially answered that. And in their research, including social engagements, how do you sustain their engagements? I guess she is asking about the buy-in, or how did you get the support of the faculty and staff with regards to the curriculum and research?
I think for the first part, most of the interest to begin with is already there. Way back in 2013, I've been amazed with the so many outputs and programs of integration of ESD into their different fields. No? For example, there was this one research faculty who is in promoting sustainability or environmental education in history. So they did studies on deforestation during the Spanish period of during our colonization years under the Spain, then under the US. So even those in the liberal arts have initiated efforts. No? So I think in my case, the buy-in to integrate it into the curriculum is not a challenge. The challenge is how to come up with a common agenda. And I think with the inclusion of this in the LGAS and the highlight of the SDG localization efforts, the challenge now more is how to tie it in together. Now on the buy-in for research and even in social engagement, I think in research, the the university has reached that point wherein there is so much interest in research, and many of the funding institutions has sustainability as their main requirement, no, in funding. Further, I think in most communities, the challenges of the being experienced related to the climate crisis calls for one, no, to really engage in sustainable solutions. Um, Again, there is still challenges in some sectors wherein how to engage in a more collaborative research. I think Dr. Tan has been always promoting the matrix organization or matrix approach to research. I have yet to get inputs from the sustainability cluster on research on what are the priorities and how to further promote collaborative research. And this is being chaired by Dr. Colava, Doc Alvin. So we are still works in progress. Don't think it's a perfect program we have already in place. No,
Mm.
we are still going with the journey, ongoing the journey, especially with the addition of a new task to our office. No, currently we have been asked to chair the Sustainable Development Solutions Network Philippines. So I have been appointed as the country manager, and one of our major feed is to promote the SDG projects, no, wherein we will bring all the efforts of university as a resource to the local governments where we find our campuses. So there's a partnership with the City of Manila, partnership in the City of Binyan, also in Taguig, and hopefully in Davao. So, but
Mm.
this is an ambitious goal, but I think uh, something that is achievable, especially if all sectors are chipping in. No? So I don't know if I answered
Uh,
the question.
y- I think, sir, yes, that you answered the question. So thank you for that, and we'll move on to the next question. From Maria Marilu Ibita. Sir Noy, how's the SDG survey in DLSU so far? What are the leading efforts and what are the areas still needing more work?
Hi, Dr. Ibita. It's still ongoing, and as I said, the major you'll find I find it actually somewhat how do I put it? One of the major challenge is simply holding the meetings where we would have the articulation of these, no? Uh, it may appear to be a minor concern, but in the case of promoting a whole of university approach, wherein we are in a 14-week cycle every term and everyone is busy, just holding the meetings is a major challenge. That's why I included collaboration. Yeah, even the Harvard Business Review had an article on how collaboration is taxing people in terms of uh, having too many
Time.
meetings.
Mm.
And that in itself is a sustainability issue that we're also addressing in one of the clusters. But definitely a number of SDG priorities have come up. One is on the climate crisis. Of course, in all clusters, the need to promote SDG 4, which is on quality education, is a priority, because, especially since we're a university. There are also a number of prioritization in the areas under the social pillar. So on inclusion, reducing inequalities, reducing poverty and hunger. But hopefully by the end of the term, we have a draft already of uh, an initial prioritization on which SDGs we would work on, and mapping out the first draft of the roadmap and sustainability targets.
Thank you for that, Sir Noy. So, in relation to that, we have a question from Dr. K. How does the university prioritize or identify which SDGs to focus on?
As I said, right now the clusters, no, there are four, are having a series of meetings, and from here we would elevate this to the university sustainability committee. So
Mm,
each cluster is pitching in what, from their perspective,
perspective.
is a major
Priority.
priority area, and this is based on prior the identification of priorities. We asked each cluster to do an initial inventory of what are programs that are in place, projects, and different activities in their area, and where are the gaps that they see, where are the areas for growth, and from here that is where they put forth which SDG to promote. So I think one cluster just pitched in education, and that is the educational cluster, the academics cluster. And I think it's not just the education program for our students, but also of the whole community. Remember, um, with the premise of practicing what we preach,
Mm,
we cannot be just a step ahead of our students. So even the employees, the faculty should have a common understanding and appreciation of sustainability
mm,
and the SDGs. So that's one
mhm.
very clear. So, but again, it's a consultative process, so it may take time.
Consultative.
Once the
Okay.
clusters are done, it will be elevated to the University Sustainability Committee. Then this will go to the different councils. particularly the President's Council. So take note, our two committees are both recommendatory in nature. But
Mm-mm.
the beauty of it, those who compose the two committees are also the ones who sit down in the councils.
Okay.
So I guess that
Thank you
would
for
be.
sharing, Sir Noy. So we have a comment here from Federico Gonzalez about
It's
the
certainly.
initiatives by Animal Labs EBI. So he mentioned that some of the initiatives from Animal Labs. Thank you for that. And then another question from Professor Tan. What safeguards do we have against greenwashing? That's a very
Ah,
interesting question.
okay. Well,
Greenwashing.
aside from having Dr. Tan as an unofficial consultant in all the decisions I make, um, we have that clear instruction to always rely on data and science. No?
Mm,
In particular,
mm,
we have Dr. Anthony Chu as the presidential advisor on sustainability. So our approach, especially in policy making and in setting up targets or even making claims, will always have to be based on science. No? So for example, right now, one major problem that we are trying to address is on whether to ban or lift the ban on single-use plastics or promote a circular economy approach. So we're doing life cycle analysis on
mm,
on on alternatives versus the plastic bottles. So we are also using tools from the academic and the research clusters in making measurements. So for example, we have different members of our teams and some members of the cluster undergo a short course on carbon footprinting.
mm-hmm.
So also facilitated by Dr. Tan. So I think with the guidance of many of our research faculty and university
Mm.
fellows, we would be able to avoid that
Then
being guilty of
greenwashing.
greenwashing. No?
Mm, mm.
Although we have always been accused of promoting green as an asal school in the Philippines. No? So we have to really give
Greenwashing in a
much,
different way.
yes.
Alright. Thank you, Sir Noy. And then we have a comment from Lenny Garcia. The cluster for education is adopting the Nexus framework of the SDGs.
Thank you,
And
Doc Lenny.
also, from Federico, Animal Labs TBI has offered to provide post-reporting and pre-submission assurance services internally. Thank you for sharing. I guess we have a room for one more question. Do we have any question from the audience? I guess not. So I'll ask the last question. Any plans or future work that you're brewing in the sustainability office? Uh, Future programs or in the pipeline?
Well, once we have the roadmap and the
Mm,
priority SDGs, definitely we will be doing more um, of a back end role. The office should not be perceived as one that takes over anything related to SD or the SDGs. Rather, we are
mm,
a facilitator of collaboration. No? So that's why we change even the name of our office as hubs. So right now,
mm,
for example, in Laguna, there is much discussion ongoing related to the promotion of the challenge-based learning. And the sustainability unit is very much part of meetings with the academic sector, the social
mm-hmm,
engagement group, in putting together a toolkit for them. No? Other
mm,
programs we hope to launch, no, it's not all about the science of it and that's a climate crisis. We also promote ways to appreciate the environment in particular before we lose it. Hopefully, we are able to protect it. So, some of the programs we hope to launch, no, more than just the roadmaps and all. We hope to promote the campus in Laguna more, especially since we have an eco park which is
mm-hmm,
bordering the river. So we're hoping to have learning uh, living laboratories. One is an no, sorry, renewable energy park since we have Amber Kinetics there and we have research faculty doing microhydro. Another is we're launching, yesterday we launched the Archer's Garden. It's a community garden wherein we will grow our own food, also process biodegradable waste on site and use it also as a living laboratory for our basic education group. Another lighter program that we had before the pandemic, which we will hope to revive, is the bird watching activities on the
Mm.
campus in Laguna. Particularly now that we have more than 60 species of birds that are thriving there, especially
Mm.
endemic ones. Over one Sunday afternoon, I accompanied a biology research group, and we found a species of endemic parrots that are
Mm.
normally found in the wild, living and thriving in the Laguna campus. Also recently, a jungle fowl. We saw a jungle fowl with chicks, no, with so it meaning they are thriving there. So these are just a few.
Mm.
Definitely we have our plates full, especially with the hosting of the SDSN Philippines. No? So there'll also be a number of educational activities and fora to help promote SD, no, ESD to the community. But we are still waiting for the clusters with the priorities, and we will do a supporting role to each cluster and the programs and activities they will be initiating.
All right. Thank you, Sir Noy, for sharing those exciting programs to us. And we also have from the audience, thanks for your contribution. Greetings from University of La Salle, Costa Rica, from Gilberto Alfaro Varela. With that, this is now the end of the Q&A. I would like to call on Doc Aris.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ria. May I invite our participants to again give a round of applause to our speaker, Sir Noy, Mr. Maralit. Thank you so much. Maraming salamat. And of course, uh, just give you to give us some feedback on how we deliver the LaSalle Sustainability Lectures, we would appreciate your comments or feedback through this QR code or link provided in our screen. So again, thank you so much for joining us today in our lecture. And we hope to see you again in our next lecture series by next month. Again, thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
Good morning, good
everybody.
afternoon, and good evening.
Thank you, Sir
Everyone.
Noy, for
Thank you,
that
everyone.
Thank
wonderful
you.
discussion.
Salamat.
Thank you.
Daghang salamat, Sir Noy.
I'll be closing the session now. Thank you, everyone, and have a good day.